Okay. I don't know why Zoom started doing that out loud, but it used to not do it out loud. Now it does. All right. So the meeting is going to be recorded. But if you have any questions or sensitive content that you would like to share, I will stop the recording at the end, and then you can share that. Otherwise, feel free to ask your questions during the presentation. If you have any, that's totally okay. All right, so for those of you who do not know me, I am Jana Holterman. I am a life coach and a registered nurse. So I basically got into coaching after myself going through a state of exhaustion and overwhelm, and really losing sight of who I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be doing. I had all of these shoulds. I should be, enjoying my work. I should be happier. I should be satisfied. And yet I wasn't. And I really had developed some unhelpful practices that allowed me that really helped me become numb to the pain. And this is something that, especially in healthcare, and I know a lot of other professions also say it, is that you need to disconnect to protect yourself. And that is something that is so wrong. And I learned that the hard way, is that you really need to feel your emotions, and because your emotions are what allows you to create the life that you want. So I'm going to get further into that, but yeah, as a background, I was extremely burnt out in my nursing job, and that was how I ended up working with a life coach. And through that work, I really learned how to feel my emotions. And then I actually learned how to create the emotions that I wanted, so that I could feel the way that I wanted to feel. And I could actually create feelings of joy, feelings of success, feelings of satisfaction. So I had all of the skills then to create the feelings that I wanted to. And I really want you guys to get out of this masterclass understanding that your emotions are not the enemy, and learning to feel will help you create the success that you want. And then we're actually going to practice it. So this is set up a little bit differently. If you've done some of my other master classes, it's less conceptual information. I will go through kind of the understanding of it. I love the brain science stuff, so I'm going to talk about that, but then we're just going to practice. So if you would like to share what you are experiencing, what emotions you are experiencing, absolutely, you can share that. We can go through that together. If you want to kind of just keep that to yourself and just kind of think about it in your head or like on your own side of the screen, that's totally okay too. It's whatever you are comfortable with. So if you guys want to engage in the chat, that would be amazing. For this question, what do you think the purpose of emotions are? And this is something that's interesting, because a lot of us are like, oh yeah, we have these emotions, we have these feelings, we like feel things. Most of us are trying to, not feel things. If you were like me in the nursing profession, you were told like you had to disconnect from your emotions. I've also seen a lot of people on Instagram and in Facebook communities for entrepreneurs telling people that you just need to disconnect and just like hustle and grind it out. And this is just so wrong, because you will burn out. You cannot disconnect from your emotions. You can do all these things to resist them, but they're going to keep coming back up. And the more you push them away, the stronger and stronger they get. So what do you think the purpose of emotions are? Is it, if you want to drop in the chat what you think the purpose of emotions are? Okay, so the purpose of emotions are basically, I like three things. So emotions are messengers. So you have emotions. Yeah. So we have, somebody said protection, to have a feeling for the thoughts that are happening. Yes, Jennifer, that is completely right. You definitely have been listening to me. So protection, yes, they are designed to protect us. So neurologically, we have a frontal brain, which is our conscious brain, and then we have our primitive brain, which is more the brain stem, which is that protection mechanism. So that primitive brain, our lower brain, its number one job is to keep you alive, keep you safe, to prevent you from getting danger. So you have emotions that are telling you when you could potentially be in danger. Now, that job of the lower brain can be, sometimes it's scared of the unknown, right? So if you're doing something you've never done before, that part of your brain is going to give you fear. It's going to give you doubt. That is totally normal. It is a messenger. It is telling you that you're going out into the unknown. You're doing something you've never done before. Like, are you sure you want to do this? And it does not necessarily mean stop, don't do this. It is giving you a message. It is giving you an indication of what's happening. So it is an indicator of your internal state. So what are you thinking about? What are the kinds of thoughts that you are thinking? If you are doing something new or unknown, like I just said, like if you're going out there, maybe you're, I don't know, going live on Instagram or something for the first time, and you have all of this fear, all of this doubt, you're likely having that because your brain is giving you that message that you're like, oh my God, you're doing something you've never done before. This is going to be terrifying. And then you have this, like, all of this thought process. You're like, what if people don't like what I have to say? What if people make fun of me? Or what if people judge me? Or what if, they don't like my message or something like that? You have all of these thoughts and all of those trigger feelings. So those emotions are indicators of what you are thinking about. And the last one is kind of on that same kind of train of thought, in that instincts. So a lot of us ignore our instincts, and a lot of the work that I do with my clients is help them lean into their instincts, those gut feelings that you have, that like deep down in your heart, in your soul, that you are meant to do this thing, even though it scares the crap out of you. Those are your instincts. A lot of your emotions are going to come from those gut feelings, those emotions about those things that you are meant to do. You just know something is right. That is an instinct, and it's going to cause an emotion. So the message, it's literally, I like to say, like, a lot of the times when we're having emotions, it's kind of like in your car where you have that like check engine light, or like the oil indicator, or like it tells, your car is telling you that there's something that needs attention. Your emotions are telling you that there's something that needs attention. That's good, that's bad, anything. It is just giving you a message. So why are our emotions so important? Our emotions are incredibly important because they create our results. So this little cycle here, the think, feel, act, results. So this is a process that I love to show my clients because it's so logical on how their current thinking process is creating their current results. So anytime a circumstance happens, anything happens in your life, you stub your toe, you go to the grocery store, somebody like gets angry at you, you win something, all of those things are just circumstances, and they're completely neutral in the world. But what happens is that thing happens and you have a thought about it for everything. You think a thought about the thing that's happening. And when you think a thought, that happens in our brain actually sends signals into our body, which causes a sensation. We have a sensation of our nervous system. So you might have a tingling, a tightness, a hotness, a coolness. Any of those sensations go back up to our brain, and our brain interprets that. But what happens a lot of the time is we're completely unaware of this. We actually think about 60,000 thoughts a day. I know that's mind-blowing. And each one of those thoughts, you are sending a signal to your body is having a sensation, and then you are going and taking action from that place. So this is generally happening unconsciously to you. So you are thinking about something, you feel a certain way, and then you go take an action. So this is like, for most people, when they come to me, they're in this like negative state of feeling where they really are exhausted, they're overwhelmed, they're just so tired, they're frustrated. So they're thinking all of these thoughts about how they're undervalued, unappreciated, like everything sucks basically. They stub their toe in the morning, they spill their coffee on the way to work, and they just like, you know what, my day is just going from bad to worse. So you think that, you feel miserable, and then you're taking action from this place of feeling miserable. And what result does that create? It just creates the result of your day going from bad to worse. You created this result of having a miserable day. But what if you were thinking that you were having a great day? Like, today is a great day. You're like, the sun is shining. Today is a great day. I'm feeling amazing. You stub your toe, but you're like, oh, today is a great day. The sun is shining. I'm feeling amazing. I feel joyful. I feel happy. I feel gratitude that I get to, you know, spend the day doing something, you know, going for a walk or something. So you take action from that place. You know, you run into a neighbor, you talk to them, you feel great. And the result is that you have an amazing day. So whatever the circumstances, it doesn't matter what the circumstances, you stubbed your toe in both situations, but in one, you ended up having a great day, and one, you ended up having a bad day. And it's all based on the way that we are showing up, we are interpreting our world, and the way that we are feeling. So how does this like happen? So emotions are basically, as I already just said, they're energy in your body. You have energy in your body, and it is creating these feelings. Emotion is energy in motion. And I have a little picture of a hill here with a car. And what happens here is, a lot of the time we do not feel our emotions when they're happening. The next slide, I'm going to talk about the 4 things you can do with emotions. But right now, we do not experience our emotions. So what's happening is, think of a really big hill that you know, like that you could drive on. I don't know if you think of like the biggest hill that you've ever driven on. If you've been to like San Francisco, that's like the place I think of, like, is like with like the massive hills. I've never been, but I know they have massive hills. So you think of like a ginormous hill. And if you had a car, you took your car, you put it in neutral, and you just gave it a nudge over that hill. Now, if your car is sitting at the top of that massive hill and it starts going over the edge, and if you like stepped out in front of your car when the car is only gone like 3 feet, it's going to be really easy to stop your car. But if you don't do that until the end of the hill, so the car is now in neutral and it's going down the hill, and it gets momentum and it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. And then imagine trying to stop that car at the bottom of the hill. It's going to be really difficult. And if you were to step out in front of it, you'd probably end up in the ICU. So please do not do that. But it's going to be really difficult because there's so much momentum. And why am I giving you this physics lesson? Because your emotions are the same. If you experience your emotion when the message is given to you, when your brain is telling you there's something important you need to pay attention to, you stop, you experience it, you allow the emotion to flow through you right when it's happening. Or sometimes it's not inappropriate to feel an emotion, like if you're in the middle of something, or if you're in public or something, you wait till you get home and then you work through it. That's totally fine. But you're still allowing the emotion to happen when it started. But most of us don't do that because we didn't learn how to do that. So what we let happen is we let that car build all of the momentum. And then what happens is it's going so fast, we try to stop it, but it's so overwhelming that we can't handle it. And it just overwhelms our system. So when you allow emotions at the beginning, it's often so much easier than when you let the emotion build and build and build. And it's like that snowball that just keeps like accumulating and getting larger and larger and larger until it's so overwhelming that it blindsides you, it catches you off guard, and you end up in this state of burnout because you just cannot handle where you have gotten, and you are just so emotionally drained and exhausted that you have to stop. You cannot ignore it anymore. Okay. So the 4 things you can do with your emotions. My question for you, 3 of them we do not want. 1 of them we do want. So what thing, I probably already gave it away, but what thing do you want to do with your emotions? So the first 3, resist, react, avoid, and allow. So those are the four, but the first 3 we do not want to do. So resist, react, avoid. What we do want to do is allow. So I'm going to go through them so you kind of have an understanding. And I think a lot of people think that resistance and avoidance are similar, but they are different. So I'm going to explain that. So what happens when you resist an emotion? So resisting an emotion is basically when you fight it. So can you imagine a time where you felt a certain way? Maybe you felt sad about something or upset about something, and you're like, I shouldn't feel that way. I'm better than that. Like, or like, I think that's like the one, like, I'm better than that. I should not be feeling that way about something. Like it should be so insignificant. Like I should not be feeling that way. And you really almost fight, like you can just like imagine yourself trying to fight away the emotion. You're like, no, I don't want to be feeling you. I want to, like, this is not what I want. Like, I'm better than this. Like, you're really trying to resist. You're fighting the emotion. Now, this is important to note that in resistance, you are generally aware of what the emotion is that you're trying to avoid, but at some point you think that you're too good for that emotion, or you don't want to feel upset about the thing that you're upset about. So you try to fight it. You try to resist it, and you're pushing it away. You do not want to deal with it. And generally the analogy that I like to use, and I've heard from many other people who do this work, is imagine a beach ball. You've taken that beach ball and you are pushing it under the surface of the water. You are pushing it with all of your might. You're pushing it all the way down. You're pushing. But eventually your arms start to get tired because you've been pushing that beach ball under the pool surface for so long. Now your arms are tired, and eventually your arms are going to give out, and that beach ball is going to pop back up and probably hit you in the face. And that's what happens with these emotions. We force them down, we avoid them, and then they come back up. And generally at that time where our guard is down, we're already tired, we're already exhausted, and now like this comes and smacks you in the face and you're like, I just cannot deal with this. So that is really what resistance is. So react to your emotions. I think this is where a lot of people experience other people's emotions, is when they are reacting. This is something that generally happens again in that point where you have avoided, you have resisted, you're not allowing your emotions for so long that, like, imagine that beach ball coming back up, then that's when you react. You have an outburst, you yell, you slam a door, you are defensive. Like when somebody questions your reasoning for doing something and you like yell back at them or you snap back at them, you know, like when you get defensive, this is when you are reacting. This is the point where you aren't really in control of your response. You react because you have given up your ability to have the capacity to respond in a way that you want, and you just react. So the next one is avoid. So this is actually interesting in the difference between, so resisting, you know what the emotion is, but you're deciding to fight it. You're pushing it away because you think you're better than it. The avoidance is actually, most people don't know the emotion that they're avoiding. And this really comes in when you're overdoing things. You are overindulging, you're over drinking, overeating, over shopping, over Netflixing, any of those things. You're consuming an activity or a thing to avoid feeling an emotion, and it kind of numbs you out. Like when you eat all the sugar, you get a dopamine hit and you avoid feeling that thing that you are resisting. And a lot of the times people don't even know what they're resisting. They know, I don't feel good, so I'm doing this activity, but they don't realize that there's an emotion behind it. And a lot of the times where people drink a lot, where people are overeating, and it's because they are avoiding an emotion. And then they get so used to avoiding that emotion and using those buffering habits is what we call it, to avoid feeling that thing. So resistance, they're generally aware, but fighting the emotions, avoiding, they are generally not aware of what that emotion is, but they're doing some sort of activity to kind of numb themselves to the discomfort of feeling that emotion. And the last one is allowing. And this is the biggest misconception, is when you allow an emotion to go through your body, it doesn't take very long. Just like that car at the top of the hill, when you stop it after like 2 or 3 feet, it's so easy to stop. But once that momentum goes, it's so difficult to stop. So when you allow an emotion, what you're doing, you're naming it, you're acknowledging it, you're allowing it to stay in your body, the sensation to stay in your body as long as it needs to, and then it goes through and it's done. So all of these other resist, react, and avoid, those emotions aren't going anywhere because you have not acknowledged them. They stay, and what you resist persists. It will continue to gain momentum. When you allow it, you're stopping it. You, in that way that you're allowing it to go through your body, you are noticing it. You are saying, all right, I get the message. I've got the lesson I need to learn. And then you're moving on. So learning to feel your emotions will give you the power to choose what you want, to be able to be proactive instead of reactive. So how do we allow our emotions? Does anybody want to drop in the chat? How do you allow emotions? Have you done any of this work to allow emotions? Because this was something that I had never done before starting working in the life coaching field and getting my life coach training. Allowing emotions is sometimes very difficult for people because they've never done it before. But it's something that you can definitely train yourself to do quite easily with practice. So there's a little figure here, and you can see them like sitting in kind of like a meditative pose. If you've done yoga, yoga is very meditative. And a lot of the times in that time where we find peace and calm with ourselves, we can allow the emotions that are present, that are kind of swirling around in our body, to work through. And a lot of the times when we've spent so much time resisting and avoiding and reacting to them, we carry a lot of emotion in our body that has not been allowed to work through. And that really keeps us at this state of, fight or flight, and that we're constantly at that like almost zero battery level because we're constantly being drained. We're constantly frustrated and sad and angry and all of these things because we're not allowing those messages to get worked through. They just keep staying there. They keep staying there. They keep staying there. You've built up so much momentum. You're so tightly wound. So when you allow those emotions to come through, it will be difficult to start with, but you will actually start to find so much more peace. And then we're going to talk about how to create emotions that you want. So I really want you to think about yourself. Some of us are more logical thinking. This is the way I was, more of a logical person, in that I wanted to use words to name it. Or you may be more of a body sense, which I've actually shifted to now that I've done this work, is that I can sense the sensation in my body. So I want you to take some time and just sit where you are. Take a few deep breaths and just notice if there is any sensations in your body. Now, if you're more of a logical thinking person and you really can't feel your body, that's totally okay. I want you to use words to describe the sensation. Okay, so we're just going to take a moment here and slow everything down. Take a deep breath in and release it. Tune into your body. What's here now? What needs to be seen by you right now? Is there a sensation within your body? A tingling, a numbness, a warmth, cool, hot. And if you're more of a logically thinking person, maybe there's a color that you can think of, or you could describe a picture or something of what you're feeling in your brain. Where is your thinking going right now? What color is it? What temperature is it? Is anything coming up for you as you sit here? Lean into it. Focus on the sensation that has come up for you. What happens as you sit and focus on it? Does it get stronger? Does it get softer? Now I want you to imagine that there's an alien that has come down to Earth and they have no experience whatsoever of emotions. They've never experienced a feeling or an emotion. How would you describe what you're currently experiencing to this alien? If you're comfortable, share it in the chat. For me right now, doing this masterclass, I have a bit of tightness in my chest, a little bit of bubbling, almost like a lump in my throat. It's really about me speaking my truth, but having that nervousness. So can you name the emotion that's in your body right now? And really an emotion is just that sensation. Are you able to name it? If you can, you can put a yes in the chat. If you can't, you can put a no. And it's totally okay if you're not able to name it. Because sometimes we really don't know what we are experiencing. And especially if it's a more difficult emotion that we're not used to feeling, it can be more difficult to name it. But as you sit with it, did it start to ease? I have 2 yeses, so I'm glad that you were able to name it. When you sat with that emotion, did it start to ease or did it get stronger? So for me, it started to ease as I sat there with the emotion. And that is really the power of being able to do this. So comfortable learning that it eased and then it gets stronger. So for you, Melva, sometimes sitting there, you need to sit there for longer to allow that emotion to work through. And we're going to do another exercise that may help you work through that emotion. And I really just want to know, is the emotion that you're currently experiencing one that you want to experience, or is it one that you don't want to experience? Because most of us are resisting those emotions we do not want to experience. But some of us actually do resist emotions, even though we like that are good, like we would say are good emotions. Some of us aren't even comfortable feeling happiness, joy, because they're so strong. We resist those too. So, it's not a wanted emotion. Okay, so logically we can go through, because I think this sometimes helps for people. I did add in, I'm just gonna skip this and I can come back to it. So logic versus body sense. So logically, some of us like to see that think, feel, act cycle. So a lot of the times when I work with my clients is I actually get them, I have it on this page again, to write out the thoughts that they're thinking. So this might be something useful for you to look at. What thought are you feeling right now that is causing you to feel this certain way? What is the thinking behind it? What is the thinking behind the feeling that you're causing? And how are you taking action from that place that you're currently experiencing? So if it's an emotion you don't want to feel, you may be taking actions that you don't want, which is creating results that you don't want in your life. And the power of this is you can also reverse this, and we can talk about that in another minute, is you get to choose how you want to do that. So it may be useful for you to explore what thoughts are causing these feelings. So I'm going to go back and we're going to do this, like release the unwanted emotions exercise. So I'm going to go through 2 exercises. This is really about visualization. You're going to have that emotion that you want to release. And I think Vicky just came in. So we're basically going through an emotion that we're wanting to release. So if you have an emotion that's currently in your body and you're ready to release this emotion, we're going to do 2 exercises. Generally, one of them will resonate more than the other, which is why I like to do 2. So I have my favorite one, and I have, every time I do it with somebody, like they always seem to pick different ones. So we'll do both of them to see which one will help you release this emotion. And the important thing is that when we remove something, we always want to replace it with something that we do want. So I want you to think of the emotion that you want to remove. And then I also want you to think of an emotion that you want to replace it with. So if you're feeling, unworthy, we want to replace it with feeling worthy, kind of thing. Or if you're feeling sad, maybe you want to replace it with calm or contentment. And a lot of the time it's difficult for us to go on the emotional scale. I'm going to go back to that for a sec. Like there's such a range of emotions. It's a lot of the time, like if we're in the state of anger, it's very difficult for us to go all the way to joy. So sometimes just going up a couple of steps will be much easier for us to kind of like acclimate ourselves to than like jumping up the scale in huge steps. So we're going to do this exercise. So we're going to start by taking close your eyes, sit somewhere comfortable, and take a deep breath in and release. Deep breath in and release. Now I want you to imagine a jar. Now this jar could be a mason jar or some other kind of jar that you have. You can imagine it. Maybe it's painted. Maybe it has a ribbon on it. Maybe it has some sort of decorations. I want you to imagine this jar. It can look any way that you want it to. Take a moment to imagine it. And I want you to take this jar and you're going to bring it to a place that you know, but not somewhere that you go that regularly. So maybe it'll be a family member's house or maybe a friend's house. And you're going to take this jar to that location and you're going to put it in a place that you're not going to see it very often. maybe on a shelf high up or in a garage or a basement or something. Envision that place and place the jar on the shelf. Once that jar is on the shelf, I want you to imagine that emotion that you're ready to release. Your subconscious mind is ready to release this emotion. I want you to think back to that first experience of this emotion. Go right back to where it all started. And know that your subconscious brain is ready to release this emotion. It is okay for it to flow through you. Concentrate on this emotion, and it may start to grow stronger. Feel it within your body. And then imagine yourself collecting this emotion into your hands. You may feel tingling or warmth in your hands. And then you're going to take this emotion and you're going to place it in that jar. And you're going to close the lid or the top and take a step back. Notice the openness. Notice the space. I want you to take that emotion that you do want to feel and bring it into your mind. What thinking do you need to think to feel this way? What thoughts do you need to have? What is important for you and your subconscious to know right now to experience this emotion? Take a moment to concentrate on it. Allow this wonderful sensation to grow within your body. Does it feel light and bubbly or airy? Allow this sensation to grow. And when this sensation is taken over your whole body, I want you to come back to this room and open your eyes. And when you're ready, put a yes inside the comments. Okay. Are you guys, so we're going to move on to the second one, and then you'll let me know afterwards which one you like better. So the second one is my personal favorite, but I know a lot of people like the jar exercise too. So we're going to do this same emotion to really make sure that it is worked through you and is ready to be released. So concentrate on the same emotion that we don't want, and then we're going to replace it with that emotion that we do want. So same kind of exercise, just a different visualization technique. Okay, so come back to your comfortable position, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in and release it. A deep breath in and release it. I want you to imagine this emotion as this tree that's withered and has dead branches, and its leaves are curled and falling to the ground. Its roots are rotting. Its tree is not doing well. This tree has been there and it has served its purpose for many years. It was there to protect, it was there to serve, but it's run its course and now it is dying. The sky turns gray and the thunder clouds start to roll in. The rumble of the thunder is coming. It starts to rain. It starts to rain harder and harder and harder, and the tree is being pelted with rain. And there's thunder and lightning, and one of the lightning bolts hits the tree and it catches fire. This tree is burning, and it burns a strong, strong blaze. And the tree is completely burned, and the rain continues, and it washes the flames away, and the tree becomes ashes, and the rain washes these ashes into the ground. And as the sky clears, the sun comes out, and from these ashes grows a new tree. This tree is nourished with everything from the past. It's nourished with the knowledge and the lessons that were meant to be learned. And it grows deep roots into the ground. And its branches grow strong and tall. And its leaves are vibrant green, and each one of these leaves is something that you know to be true, to reinforce this new belief, these new emotions that you are ready to feel. Each one of those leaves is a thought that is serving you for your highest good and growth. And this tree grows stronger and stronger every single day. I want you to take a deep breath in and release. Take a deep breath in and release. When you're ready, come back to the room and open your eyes and put a yes in the comments when you're ready. Amazing. Okay. So which exercise did you resonate with most, or which one really do you feel had the most shift within the sensations within your body? Okay, I got one jar. Okay, so I got two jars. And it's funny because I like the tree one better. So I really want you to know that this has helped on a subconscious level, and that you can use this exercise whenever you feel the need to. So sometimes, like if you have the emotion come up, I really want you to practice just allowing it. Notice whatever sensations are in your body, because really it is just a sensation. Like the worst thing that can possibly happen is a sensation. And I know we're all programmed to be so fearful of feeling our emotions, but it is just a sensation. So after you've sat with whatever emotion comes up, good, bad, neutral, after you've sat with that, you can use this exercise to allow that emotion to be released and to choose a new feeling thought. So that is kind of the more like woo-woo exercise. But then the logically, you can actually do these thought models, is what I call them, where I take out a piece of paper, I do a like brain dump, and then I will write down my unintentional model, which is the thinking, feeling, act, result cycle of what I don't want. And then once you've gone through that and you have that awareness in your brain, you can do the think, feel, act, result cycle of what you do want to create. So what result do you want in your life? What do you need to think in order to create the feelings that are going to allow you to take action that is aligned with the result that you want? And that is really where a lot of the work I do is we help release these emotions that aren't serving you, and then we replace them with new thinking and beliefs that are going to allow you to feel in alignment with what you want. If you want to create success, if you want to lose the weight, if you want to buy a house, you need to be able to think and feel in a way that is going to allow you to take action to create the result. And this is something that is so important. You can push yourself and hustle and grind all you want, but if you are not thinking and feeling in alignment with what you want, the results will not come. So if you slow down, you take the time to feel where you are right now, you will be able to create those results without all of the pain, without the exhaustion, without the overwhelm and burnout, because you will be listening to what your feelings are telling you, because your feelings are so important as messengers. I cannot stress this enough. Leaning into what your emotions are telling you will allow you to be able to, either change what you're thinking to create the result, or to know that you're on the right track. So when you're feeling a certain way, it isn't about necessarily going right to trying to change that. Allow that emotion to work through your body. And then once you've done that, then it's about choosing what you want to believe to replace it. Because as I said, once we remove something from our subconscious brain, it doesn't like gaps. We need to replace it with something that we do want. So we remove that thing we don't want, and then we replace it with the thing that we do want. So that is the end of my presentation and exercise. I would love to answer any questions that you guys have specifically about this work or anything else life coaching related, to see so that you are able to do this work on your own and create the best result. I really do want to stress, if you do want to take this work to the next level, I do offer a free badass blueprint call. That is basically where you and I get together one-on-one on Zoom. We're going to go over where you are right now versus where you want to be. And then I'm going to show you the 3 things that you can start working on immediately to get yourself to where you want to be and become that most badass, like authentic, joyful version of yourself. So that is something that if you are ready to take this work to the next level, feel free to message me about, and we can book that call. Otherwise, I would love to know any questions you have. I'm going to stop the screen recording just in case you have any sensitive content that you would like to share, and then stop sharing, stop recording.